In this video, I'm going to show you how I made this flameless torch, plus a bonus crystal option so you have a nice light for Larp. Why hello there. I just got back from my trip to New York and I am working on a vlog about that right now. But I have a project that I've really been wanting to do for a long time, and I finally have all the stuff, so I decided I'm going to do that first. And while I'm telling you about the project, I am going to multitask and pick raspberries because they are very ripe, and since we've been in New York, we haven't been able to pick any of them. So here I am. So I will be going to a couple LARPs this year. First one being Bikoline, and I brought this oh, there's a squirrel up there and I literally almost said, oh, squirrel!
He made me this collar so that I may talk. Squirrel!
So, yeah. When I went to Bikoline last year, I brought a solar-powered lantern that's kind of just meant to be in your yard. I really liked it because, you know, it being solar powered, I was able to just kind of leave it out during the day and then take it, but it's obviously not something meant for LARP, so it broke very quickly, like the handle fell off. I just ended up kind of using other people's lights when we were hanging out together. Need a better solution. When Nick and I went to Heinefall, we did buy a lantern from Amazon that worked very well. It's battery powered, but you can switch it from a normal bright white light to like a flickering flame type of light, which was very nice. But that also got broken very quickly. The handle completely broke off, and we replaced it with like a rope at the LARP to keep using it. And so I thought maybe I would try a different approach. Instead of like a lantern, I wanted to make a torch. I've seen some really cool LARP torches. They're pretty expensive. They look really cool, but I thought I bet I can make something similar. So that is what I am going to do today. I will show you all of the pieces I have to make this, but my idea is that my character is kind of witchy, you know? So I thought it would be fun to have both a flame option as well as like a glowing crystal option. So I'm going to make a torch that I can switch out the top and kind of have different vibes depending on like what lighting I need or what, you know, what I'm feeling for that night when I'm questing and stuff, because sometimes it is nice to have like the flame. It feels very like you are participating in a medieval experience. But at the same time, there was a quest that we did at Bikoline last year, and we needed to be able to read stuff at night, and the flickering lights, they work okay, but we were kind of straining our eyes a little bit, so in order to avoid that, the crystal attachment I'm going to be making is going to be more of like a bright white bluish light, and I think that will be helpful if we have to do any more reading of signs at night. So I'm going to finish picking these and then I will show you the supplies that I have for this. Berries have been picked and washed. You want some? Well, Cinder doesn't really want me to show you the supplies, but I must. I simply must. We'll see how long it lasts before he jumps right back up here. Okay, so for my torch, I have got 2 of these battery-powered lights. They're just regular flashlights, but the cool thing is that these are for like traffic. So you screw on this little top piece. Here he is again. You screw on this top piece and the whole thing glows. And this will give us kind of that fire-like effect. I'm gonna try to figure out a way to make it look more like a flame, but I really like these because the light is adjustable. You can lower it, make it brighter, which is very cool. And the other thing that I got, buddy, please. I got these ice crystals from Monster Scenery. I was looking for just like a clear resin crystal. People pretty much only sell like the molds for it. I couldn't find the right mold and it was gonna be really dense and whatnot. But this Monster Scenery set is perfect because these crystals, they're just like terrain crystals for D&D. They're actually hollow on the inside, which makes them a lot more lightweight than like a resin crystal. And the cool thing is, because it has an opening on the bottom, I can just cut off one of the threads on one of these and attach it to the bottom, and that way I can have a crystal light, and it will be more of a white light. So I'm currently deciding between if I want this crystal shape or if I want this crystal shape, and I'm kind of leaning towards the bigger one. I think that that would be really fun. So the plan is, because I need to get this light out to switch the batteries, and if I want to adjust the brightness, I'll need to remove that. I got some PVC pieces. So I have this 1 1/4 inch PVC tube, and then I have 2 attachments here screwed together. Let's see what these are. I don't know what this one is called. It doesn't say, and I forgot to take a photo of it. But this is what it looks like. Yay! And then this is 1 1/4 inch, and then this is a 1 1/4 inch female adapter that I've just screwed this top piece onto. So the idea is I'm going to cut this tube down. These will be on the top, and then I have a cap for the bottom. I don't want it to be this long. This is a little too much for me. But because this top piece tapers in on the inside, I'm able to get this light inside of it. Oh God. Okay, hold please. There's a rubber ring on this light that I need to remove. These lights come with like a little belt clip as well as a rubber ring. I'm just gonna remove that rubber ring because it is too thick for my tubes. Okay, so with that rubber piece removed, I can now just stick this light in here, and it rests perfectly on the inside because it has a taper. So that way the crystal will just sit right above it, and I can do the flame piece too. My other idea, which we'll see how this goes. I got a light bulb cage, which I thought might look kind of cool around the flame piece. It's just a plastic one. It's a little bit flimsy. I'm not sure if this is going to work or is even the vibe that I'm going for, but we'll figure it out. I think that's a pretty solid plan for the torch. The light will fall to about here, but I just want to have some extra space for a handle, and I'll cut that off and put the cap wherever I decide to end that piece. These lights are by the brand Ultrafire. I got 2 of them, so it comes with 2 full flashlights with like the little attachment. But like I said, I'm going to remove the threads on the bottom of one of these to put on the crystal. But that way I will have 2 lights that I can switch out, and I'll just bring extra batteries too, and hopefully I'll have light for the entirety of the Larp. So the other nice thing about making this out of PVC is it's sturdy enough when you just screw it together that I don't need to glue anything, and that's going to make packing it a lot easier because I can just break it up into pieces, and I don't need to have like this giant torch that could potentially get broken in my bag. So I'm very excited about that. I think the first step is to decide how long I want this handle part to be, and then I'm gonna need to cut that. So I guess let's get started. I used a pen to mark where I wanted to end this little PVC tube, and then I stared at it for a long time to make sure that I liked it before I went to the saw. Yay! Woo! Chop saw! removed the stickers, and I also decided the writing around some of the edges I would cover up with hot glue later to make it a little more smooth. The nice thing about these traffic lights is they're very flimsy, so I really just took scissors to the one I was dismantling for the crystal and it came off super easy. I also just scratched the logo off with my nail. You could use sandpaper, but it was really easy to get off. I wasn't sure exactly how I wanted to do the flames, so I'm making some test pieces out of hot glue. And while those are drying, I just attached the threads from the one I dismantled onto the bottom of the crystal and filled in any of the gaps with glue, which ended up being very sturdy. After the hot glue flame shapes dried, I took them off and attached them to the one that I had previously ruined just as a test to see how I liked it. And I wasn't very thrilled. I tried adding some more pieces and it was just not looking how I wanted. So I decided to get some of this cellophane that you use to wrap presents and wrap that around and see how that would look, and I was liking the direction this was heading in better. Once the hot glue on the crystal dried, I just took some blue acrylic paint to blend it in a little better so it wasn't bright orange. And then I took some orange paint and started painting on flame pieces, and I thought that this looked much better. So I was satisfied with that decision and I started making all of the pieces. This was a sort of slow process of making shapes, letting them dry, and then trying to glue them on in a way that looked nice and like a flame. And I was able to just start painting them as I went. Added these little cellophane pieces that I also painted on, and I was really liking how this was looking as a fire effect. Moving on to the handle part, I needed to cover up all of those words on the bottom, so I took some of these pearl beads that just have one flat side, and I just sort of glued them right on top of the words. I figured these kind of look like rivets anyway. I did it on the top as well, which ended up being nice in hindsight because it actually added a little bit of a lip, so it hid the flashlight even more. I then took my wood burning tool and added a bunch of runes and decorations on the outside. Make sure you do this in a ventilated space. The method I used for the cellophane was by cutting it into these squares, pinching it in the middle, and kind of pulling it all up together, using the hot glue gun to adhere that little pointed bottom part together. It just made it a little more sturdy and kept its shape better. With the base all decorated, it was time to go spray paint it, which I just used a regular black spray paint to give it one solid color. And then, of course, my camera died when I was filming the dry brushing part, but basically I just took a gold and a silver paint, got it on the brush, wiped it off as much as I could so there was a tiny bit left, and just kind of lightly brushed it over the top to give it this kind of worn metallic look. I think that the beads ended up looking like rivets. They're not perfect on the bottom because they weren't quite the right size, but ultimately I think it turned out very nice. And now I'm ready to show you what it looks like. I can just tip the base upside down to pull the flashlight out and then screw in whatever attachment. Once I have it all attached, I turn it on, get annoyed by the flashing feature, and then adjust the brightness of what I want the light to be like. Once that is complete, you can just insert it right back into the base part, and you have an enchanted torch. If you decide that's not the vibe, you just unscrew it, screw in the flame piece, turn it on, and slip it right back in the base, and voila, you've got a flameless torch. It's still daylight in these clips, so I will show you what it looks like after. Here is how the light bulb cage turned out. Did not end up fitting, but what do you think? Do you like the idea? Is this something I should maybe try pursuing? Let me know what you think. As I waited for the sun to go down completely, I tested it in a dark room in my house to see if I could see the books on my shelf, and I could see them no problem. This light was very bright. This one is not quite as bright, but it still makes it so you can see everything, especially if you need to read, which is nice because that was my problem with my last light. It really is hard to show on camera, so if I hold it out of frame, you can kind of see it better. Flash warning here, I startle myself with the crystal light, so. As I mentioned, this crystal light is much brighter, and my favorite thing about it is it still works as a flashlight. The light kind of goes up through the points of the crystal, and if you direct it at things, it literally works like a really bright flashlight, which is so nice. This one is even easier to read with, so this is definitely something I think I'll be using a lot at my LARPs. And maybe I'll use it to scare people too, tell a little freaky story, who knows. So in these clips, the sun is completely down and you can really see how bright this crystal light is. This one, not quite as bright, but if you can get up close to stuff, it still gets the job done, and this warm light definitely feels more decorum. Big thank you as always to all of my Patreon members. You guys make videos like this possible, and thank you to the viewers who are watching here on YouTube as well. I really appreciate your support. If you want to find other ways to support me or even connect with me on other social media platforms, please check out the description below. I really hope you like this video. If you try it, I would love to see it. If you want to join my Discord server, you can send me photos over there. I'm pleased with how this turned out and I can't wait to use it. Thanks for watching.